Alright, CNT120, Chapter 3 Lab. We are still working on network layer. We just got done working with IP version 4, static and dynamic. We're now going to move on to IP version 6. Okay, so we're still working on network layer, but we're going to work on IP version 6 addressing. Now, what we're going to do, just as a real quick big picture, we are going to set IP version 6 address on the laptop here and the laptop here and communicate between those two. Okay, that's what we're going to end up doing. Now, to do this, we're going to do a little bit of information gathering before we do this. So let's take a look at the Harrisburg laptop configuration and the Philadelphia laptop configuration. We're going to open the command prompt and run a command to see the IP version 6 address. Now, real quickly, side note, this command is really just a packet tracer command. Okay, in packet tracer, I think because of the coding, they want us to use the command IPv6 config to see the IP version 6 address. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open the command prompt on my actual laptop. This is my laptop command prompt. If I do an IP config here, actually I'll do an IPv6 config here, this is going to say I don't know what that is. Yeah, because that's not a real command we would use in real life. I would just do ipconfig here on my laptop, and it'll actually show me my IP6 address. Now, this is a link local. This is a local address here on this network. That's not routable, but it actually just shows me my IP version 6 address. There it is right there. Okay, so in real life, I don't use this command, but in packet tracer, they want us to use this command, I think for coding reasons, when they coded the program. So I'll open up the Harrisburg laptop. I'm going to open a command prompt, and I'll do IPv6 config. Okay, and what I'll see is there's none listed here. I just see a colon. That's basically like a local loopback type address. There's nothing set. That's what we're seeing. I'll do the same thing on the Philadelphia laptop. I'll do an IP config over here as well. IPv6 config. Oops. Oops, if I can type. And what I'll see again is the same thing, the colon. It's almost like a local loopback address, if you will. So we are going to set a static IP version 6 address on both of those and communicate between them. Now, to do this, I need to gather some info. So I'm going to start with my Harrisburg laptop, and I'm going to gather, and I'm going to look at the MAC address on this guy. So let's open the Harrisburg laptop. I'm going to open the command prompt, and I'm going to look at the IP config / all. And I want to see the MAC address. Now, MAC address, hopefully you remember, the beginning of the MAC address, the first half, is the manufacturer who made it. The second half of the MAC address is unique to that device, unique to that NIC or that device. There's no other device or NIC in the network that would have this second half of the address. So this is basically like the client address, client unique address, if you will, the host address, if you will. As I see here, it is a 7EBA5A. Well, since that's unique, we're going to end up using that to build our IP version 6 address. We're going to use this last half that's unique, and we're going to use that to build our IP version 6 address, so that is also unique in our network. So here we are. We're going to take that 7EBA5A, and we're just going to kind of rewrite it like so, 7EBA5A. I'm just putting colons in there. And that'll be the host portion, or the unique portion of our IP version 6 address. We also need the gateway address that this computer is attached to. So the gateway address is the router I'm attached to. So I'm going to come right up the line here. This is the router I'm attached to. And it's literally attached to this gigabit 00 port. So if I hold the pointer over the router, I'm going to try to do that and just let it sit. If I read the top line down there, it says gigabit Ethernet 0/0, and I come right across the line, I see 192.168.10.1. That's the IP version 4 address. If I keep going, and I see the IP version 6 address, and I'll see FD00:A::A::A. That is the network piece of that address. That is the A::A::A network. If I keep going, 202.16FF, FE85, 3501, that is the host piece of that address, if you will. But that whole thing makes up the IP version 6 address of this interface. Well, that is the address we need as the gateway address for this laptop. And that's what I have copied here for you. FD00A::A::A, 202.16FF, FE85, 3501. That is going to be the network, the gateway address for that laptop. And if I look closely again, the FD00A:A is the network piece, if you will. The second half is the host piece. That is the unique piece for that interface. So we now have the info we need. So we're going to take that info, go back to my Harrisburg laptop here. I'm going to go to the IP config. I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to go down to the static IPv6 part, and I'm now going to start plugging this in. So the network piece FD00A:A, that's going to start my address, and then I'm going to use the last half of my MAC as the host piece of my address, the 70BA5A. So the IPv6 address for this machine will look like so. The FD00A:A, we use a double colon in there. Hopefully you remember in your reading. Double colon tells the computer, fill anything you need in here to make 120 bits, fill it in with zeros. That's what the double colon there says. They're like, hey, if you need anything in there to make up 128 bits, just fill it in with zeros. And then we're using the 7ABA5A, the last part of my MAC address. So I'm going to highlight this since it's all here, and I'm going to copy this, but I need to make sure don't copy extra spaces on either end. Those give you errors, okay? So make sure you're only copying this, no extra characters, no extra spaces, etc. I'm going to right-click copy. I'll paste it right in here. I'm going to use my /64 over here. That tells us basically half of this address is network, the other half is host. Remember, it says 128-bit address. So this right here, this 64 bits is the network. This 64 bits here is the host. That's what that's telling us. We now need the gateway, which was our router address, and I have it here for you so we can actually copy this if we want to as well. We'll right-click copy this guy, and I'm going to paste that into the gateway portion. Not the link local, not the DNS, into the gateway portion right there. Okay. Now, if everything's okay, if I go to close this, I don't get an error. If I do get an error, I probably have a space on the back or a space on the front on one of these numbers, so look out for that. I'm going to close that, and now I'm going to verify connectivity. Or actually, I'm going to verify the change I did. I'm going to open my command prompt, and I'll do IPv6 config. And if I type correctly, there we go. I should see this address plugged in. Here is my address I just plugged in. It filled it in with a 0 in there, filled in the extra bits, and then here's the gateway address right there. That's the router we're attached to. So I now have an IPv6 config on this laptop. Let's do the same thing on the Philadelphia side. Okay, we'll go a little quicker on this one because we kind of know the drill. We'll open up the command prompt here, ipconfig /all. We are looking for this half over here. That is going to be the last half of the MAC address we set on this guy. Or excuse me, this last half of MAC address is what we're going to use to set the last half of our IP address. We'll hold our pointer over here. We'll be looking at the gigabit 00 on this router. If I hold my pointer over, I'll read that top line. FD00A:A:C, that's the C network, okay? And then 201.64FF, that'll be the gateway address, and that's what we should have down here. This is our gateway address. So now that I have both of those, I'll go to the Philadelphia laptop, IPconfig, leave this alone up here. We're going to go down to the IP6. So we're going to use this. This right here is our IP6 address, A:/A:C, and there's the last half of our MAC address. Okay, right-click copy. I'm going to paste that in there. /64, again, watch out for extra spaces. I'm leaving the link local alone, and then I'm going to plug in my gateway address, this guy right here. That's the address of the router we're attached to. Right-click copy, right-click paste it in there. I will close that. I'll open up the command prompt, and I'll do IPv6 config. Ah. So Mr. Brown keeps missing that I on the front. There we go. So I'll make this one wider, and now I should see this is the IPv6 address, A:/A:C. It filled in the extra with a 0 there. There's the last half of our MAC, and then the gateway address, the router we're attached to, A:/A:C. Okay, so now we have a static IPv6 address on both of our laptops. All right. Okay, we are now going to try to have connectivity between them. We're going to try to ping between the Harrisburg laptop and the Philadelphia laptop. So we're going to go to the Harrisburg laptop and we're going to try to ping to the Philadelphia laptop. We're going to try to ping to this IP right here, this one that we just set. So I'm going to work smarter, not harder. I'm going to copy this Philadelphia laptop IP. Okay, we're going to try to ping this Philadelphia laptop. So I'm going to go over here to the Harrisburg one, open our command prompt. We're going to issue the ping command. Now in real life, you'd be doing a ping-6. That is the real command for Windows, ping space -6. But on Packet Tracer, we can just issue a plain old ping. We don't need to do anything special here. So we're going to do a right-click paste. I'll paste that in, and I'm going to try to ping that Philadelphia laptop. And I get it. Yes, woo! Okay, so I now have connectivity to the Philadelphia laptop using IPv6. Now, real quickly, what is going on in the background? These routers are configured with both IP4 and IP6. They're dual stacked, so they're allowing both IPv4 traffic and IPv6 traffic through. That's how Mr. Brown set that up. That's how Mr. Brown configured those for you. So we're going to save that and put it into our text file. So I'm going to copy this ping result here, right-click copy. I'll open up my text file, and I'm going to put down here that this is, again, layer 3 IPv6, and I'm going to say this is my ping from Harrisburg to Philly. I'll paste that in. I'll save, and then I'm going to end up returning that. I'm going to go from Philadelphia back to Harrisburg. So while I'm here on the Harrisburg, here's my Harrisburg laptop. I'm going to copy its IP6 config, or IP6 address, if you will. I will close that. I'm going to go to the Philadelphia laptop, open a command prompt. I'm on the Philadelphia laptop now. Open a command prompt, issue a ping, right-click in this Harrisburg IP address, and I'm going to issue a ping going back. And there's my ping from Philadelphia back to Harrisburg. Again, I'm going to copy all that. I'm going to right-click copy. Go to my text file, and I'll put a note here that this is the ping from Philadelphia to Harrisburg. Just so I keep track of what I'm doing. And I'll save that. And I do see both directions. We're going from Harrisburg to the Philadelphia network, the C, and then we're going from Philly back to the Harrisburg network, A. Okay, that's how we would know that, or be able to see that, if you will. All right, I think I can close that. I'm now going to look at the IPv6 header in my packet sniffer. So I'm going to open the packet sniffer, and I should see some IPv6 traffic. So I'll slide this over here, open the packet sniffer, and as I look, I see some IPv6 traffic down here. I'll grab one of those packets. I don't think I have a specific one you need to grab. Yeah, click on that. Basically, one of the most recent ones, I can grab one of these down here. And I want to look now at, we have Ethernet header, and we now have an IP6 header. Okay, so IPv6 traffic. Here's the source IP, here's the destination IP. You notice that those fields are a lot larger because they're 128 bits. And then actually here is my ICMP message down here. So we're going to copy these fields from our packet. Again, looking at Ethernet header, IP6 header, there's your source and destination IPs. So we'll grab those. We'll grab the content source IP header field and then destination IPv6 header field. So I will copy the source. I'll go to my text file over here, and I will do, let's see here, we'll do IPv6 header fields. And I will paste that one in. There's my source IP, and then I'll highlight the destination. Right click on that guy, and I will paste that one in. There's my destination IP, and I'll save that. Okay, and there should be my IPv6. I'll save my text file there so I don't lose my progress, and I'm also going to save my packet tracer so I don't lose that progress. When we come back in the next one, we'll start looking at layer 4.